I was only 15 when I moved away from my family, thousands of miles away. So to say that I had no family or friends would be an understatement. Not having any family or friends in a culture that's completely different than yours. I had to navigate things that I just didn't know how to do. On top of that, I was 2 years younger than everyone else in my class, and my accent was strong. So everything from applying to college to getting a driver's license, purchasing a car, and getting insurance, I had to find a way to figure it out. And I relied heavily on creating my own family. And so as I got older and my biological family was able to reconnect with me, I started to realize that there is a difference between the family that you choose and the family that you were born with. And that was a big wake-up call. I remember feeling envious of people who had big families, or really just any family to go back home to. Those moments tend to hit around holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, where they would leave college and go back home. And I realized that I didn't have a place to go back home to. I remember having the feeling of wanting to give up everything to have that sense of family, that sense of belonging. And even though I would eventually be invited into other people's family, it's just never quite the same. So I think I did what most people end up doing when they feel like they have no sense of belonging. I joined the military. I figured if I can't have my own family, I would have the military be my family. And I didn't realize how that really worked until I was already in. You see, in the military, there's a lot of people who are away from their own family. And we do tend to build our own sense of family. But with my occupation, I realized that we move about every 3 years. And so even though you establish that sense of friendship, that sense of family, it's quickly severed. And either you relocate or that person that you built a connection with leaves. So that sense of family that I've been searching for really wasn't there after all. And that's when I knew I had to change my perspective on things and how I would live my life. But first, let's have a second cup of coffee. Humans were never meant to be isolated. No matter how much of a hermit we try to be, no matter how isolated we might try to be, in order to be healthy, we need to have at least one person in our circle. So with the family that I created, I had one person who was like a mother to me who was visiting. But at the same time, there would be some overlap with the person who is like my sister was having her baby. And I remember telling my assistant at work, oh, we need to reschedule patients because the baby didn't pay attention to when his due date was. And then she asked me, won't your mom be upset that you're not going to be there on the first day of her visit? And I was like, no, because the family that I built, I chose them. I chose them because it's a very healthy relationship and they would understand a circumstance like that. I think that was a really good realization, the difference between the family that you're born with and the family that you choose. The family that you choose tend to respect your boundaries. They push you to grow and they accept it when you change. I have some family members or even just some old friends of mine who will look at me and say, my gosh, you've changed. And I'm just like, well, yes, that's the point. The point is that every day you change into a better person. In order to grow, you have to change. Unfortunately, sometimes you change and you go in different directions, but I refuse to be shamed for improving myself. So with my strong need to be a hermit and to hide under a rock, maintaining a family does take work. And I think that's another difference, is that family through blood is always family. But the family that you create will take work to make sure that you stay connected. And so with my little sister, we try to make sure that we text regularly. It's about every day. It doesn't feel like work though, but we try to make sure that we stay in contact with each other. And I hate flying. I really do. But for her, I'll hop on a plane. And that's what I did. The last couple of days have been crazy. And of course, babies don't listen when we tell them their due date. So I only had a few hours to pack up my bag, get on a plane, and head from Virginia all the way back to California. But even with the long travel, I still made it in time to see her give birth to my little nephew. So yes, I'm exhausted, jet lagged, all of the above when it comes to traveling. But there's something about a newborn baby that just makes you so happy. But I do have to head back on a plane tonight because I have to get back to my family so I can see them trick or treat. Do you know American Airlines? Yeah. Basically, if I leave tonight, I still won't get there until tomorrow morning. So I still have a few things to get done here. So I'm going to get those done, go see the baby for a few more hours before I get on the plane. So now I'm back home in my cozy, compact RV. And while it took me over 24 hours of being in the airport to get back home, I'm happy to be back home with my family. But most importantly, I'm so happy that I overcome my fear of flying and I was able to be there for the birth. I've always prayed to have that big sister, protector type vibe. But since I couldn't have it, the next best thing is to give it to someone else. And I think the best thing about a healthy relationship is that with providing love and that support, I expect nothing in return. But somehow it always feels so fulfilling. And with that, I was blessed with my first god baby. I understand the struggles with not having a family, whether they're physically apart or just not being able to support you in the way that you need. Now I know the road doesn't end there. You can build a family that you love. And even though it might take some time, one day you'll wake up and you'll realize that all the years of feeling alone, that you've managed to build something that you can now call a family. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Charlie and I love making videos about the things that I've learned over time. I figured if it's taken me 15-20 years to learn, maybe I can share it and hopefully someone can learn it in a lot less time with a lot less struggle. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like or a comment and maybe share it with someone who would love to hear this message. And I love making these videos, so I'll see you next week. Mostly creamer, a splash of coffee.